Hello everyone, this is Jonathan Diep with the Deep Dive, and today's episode we will be going over part 2 of the 22 Pixar films ranked worst to best. Last time around I did numbers 22 through 12, so this week we will be going over the rest from number 11 to number 1, so let's not waste any time and start right now. The Incredibles 2 works. It's nowhere near as good as the first film, but it works for what it's trying to set out to do. I enjoyed a lot of the humorous elements, and I'm surprised that they actually decided to pick up right back up where the first movie ended. It's interesting to see how they decided to do a complete turnaround with Mr. Incredible's character, with him being the one this time around staying at home and trying to be the stay-at-home parent, while Elastigirl is the one going out on solo adventures. I like that it reiterates the idea that no matter what your strengths are always better accomplished in numbers and can't be accomplished individually. It was fun to see that the voice cast and animation department didn't really miss a step, and that also goes in regards to the humor of the film. Jack is also given a lot more to do this time around, and it's fun to see how his powers continually evolve over time. It was fun to see that the voice cast and the animation department didn't really miss a step, and that also goes in regards to the humor. The weakest point in this movie, however, is that the villain is just plain bad, like straight garbage bad. There's no development, build-up, or really any payoff to them, and they're just really boring, and the film drags every time they're on screen. It makes you want to watch the first Incredibles movie again just because of how great of a villain Syndrome was. Toy Story 3 would probably be a lot higher on other critics' lists out there, and it's easy to see why. It has probably the most emotional ending of any Pixar film, and certainly the most beautiful looking of the Toy Story saga. I love the final half hour of this film, but what didn't work for me as much were some of the elements that came before it. The back and forth sequences between the daycare and Woody's solo adventure to the daycare isn't as interesting or as entertaining as the previous two films, although I do really enjoy the villain twist that has a surprisingly bleak and depressing turn that's not often seen in many Pixar films. It would have been nice to get these doses of surprises and stakes sprinkled throughout the film a little bit more. Regardless, it was a good conclusion to the series and wrapped up pretty well, and was worth the wait given that these are the most beloved Pixar characters and they are the reason we see these films, and they did not miss a single beat. Monsters, Inc. has some of the best and most quotable moments in any Pixar film. The electric voice cast performances from both John Goodman and Billy Crystal make this film what it is. If you don't have these two, the film doesn't work. What starts as a fun romp into a unique and genuinely intriguing universe turns into a solid conflict that the main characters must deal with in regards to the introduction of Boo, who is a human girl who ends up trapped inside the monster world, which would cause ramifications that can destroy the existence of the monster world itself, or so it seems. The only reason Monsters Inc. isn't higher on this list is because I'm one of the few people who finds Boo to be just a teeny bit annoying. I know everyone's gonna be like, how dare you, she's just a child, kids act like that, what's so annoying about her? Well,
Ooh, nice bear.
other than that, Monsters Inc. has some of the best world building in any Pixar film and is enjoyable all the way through. The music by Randy Newman also goes without saying, and it's one of the best Disney scores ever. I feel at this point there's a strong disdain for my placements now, but like I said, this is all my personal preference. Having Finding Nemo at number 8 is not a bad thing at all. It's actually pretty great. The fact that it made the top 10 should be enough already. The use of computer animation feels like it hit one of its highest peaks in Finding Nemo. The look of the ocean combined with all of the sea life elements is a beauty to behold. The amount of effort put into the quality of lighting, backdrops, and just pure imagination put into this world is utterly breathtaking. Add in a plot about parental anxiety and the adventures that our main characters Marlin and Dory go through, it's wildly memorable. This also has some of the best supporting cast characters and voice casting of all the Pixar films. And I just love that the message is simple yet resonant about how often sometimes we take our own family for granted, and the journeys that we have to go through just shows how much we care and love for them, even when it doesn't seem like that on the surface. It's simple yet resonant, and it's a fantastic addition to the Pixar vault. The Incredibles is a wild ride from beginning to end. I loved how we're automatically thrust into this world that actually takes a surprising turn dealing with the whole accountability aspect of superheroes existing if they were to exist in a real modern world, and what we get from there is an exciting story filled with one of the most memorable movie cartoon families ever created. The direction by Brad Bird makes this film look like a legitimate summer action blockbuster. Syndrome is also a great, funny villain with memorable quips and a great backstory. Of all the Pixar films released up to this point, this one felt the most mature in terms of context and tone, and I really loved that it didn't hold back on the intensity of its narrative and plot points. It's honestly the first Pixar film to feel like a badass superhero flick, and I'm all for it.
Honey!
What?
Where's my super suit?
What?
Where is my super suit?
Put it away!
Where?
Why do you need to know?
I need it!
Don't you think about running off to doing no daring do? We've been planning this dinner for 2 months.
The public is in danger!
My evening's in danger.
You tell me where my suit is, woman!
The first Toy Story is quintessential to the success of not only Pixar, but the success of animated films in general. Everything that Pixar is today and its reputation as a powerhouse distribution company is all owed to the success of Toy Story, and for great reason. For a film that was entirely computer animated, which was seen as a gamble that wouldn't pay off back in the day, it still looks great, and Pixar proved everyone wrong. And it still holds up even 25 years later. The terrific ensemble cast from Tom Hanks to Tim Allen to Don Rickles and to countless others is perfectly assimilated to their toy counterparts. I mean, does Don Rickles not look like a potato head? It's insane how this was intended to be a solo film where Woody was actually the villain of the film and planned to murder Buzz, but thank God they turned the other direction, because what we got instead was a fun, innovative, and wildly original masterwork from John Lasseter, Pete Docter, Andrew Stanton, and I forgot his first name, but Cohen. The visual effects and cinematography worked for the animation at the time, and has become an influential staple on computer animation as well. Not only is it a great family film, but it also has genuine moments of great comedy and even great moments of horror and drama. Who can honestly forget about those crazy-ass hybrid toys that Sid created? Okay, sue me. I love A Bug's Life. I could never understand why this film was so low on a lot of other people's Pixar's list. Maybe because it was one of the first ones, and maybe it's because it's a solo movie and it doesn't have as much merchandise appeal or rewatchability to certain people, but I just remember being a kid watching this film over and over and over. And that's maybe because it was honestly one of the few Pixar films I rewatched the most growing up, but there's just something about it that just sticks with me, and it honestly just might be that it ripped off its premise from one of the greatest movies ever made. If you don't know what movie I'm talking about, there is a 1954 Japanese film called Seven Samurai. What's the plot of Seven Samurai? Well, get this. It's a 1954 epic about villagers who seek warriors to help defend their village from an upcoming seasonal attack by bandits who want to steal all their food. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, that's basically A Bug's Life to a T. So the fact that this film basically ripped off its entire plot from a movie that's considered one of the greatest of all time is probably the reason why it's lower on other people's list, but I think for something that is considered a remake slash spin-off of that, in animation form involving ants, is pretty funny. And I honestly find this to be one of the most hilarious Pixar films ever made, and that's due to the tremendous voice cast performance from Dave Foley, David Hyde Pierce, Bonnie Hunt, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and yeah, him. He's good too. Let's not spend too much time on him, or else people will think I support her. I also love that it's not afraid to just show sequences of action and brutality from insect to insect, so it feels like adults can really get into the story. It rarely holds anything back ever, and I appreciate that it was trying to be entertaining for both kids and adults at the same time. And not to mention, for me, it has one of the most random and funniest scenes I've ever seen in any animated film ever.
Hey, who ordered the poo-poo platter? I'll
get this out of the way now. Yes, Yes, the first 10 minutes of Up is a masterclass of depicting love and loss in the span of a lifetime, and is quite possibly one of the greatest openings to any Pixar film, if not the greatest opening to any Pixar film. As a short film, it probably would have won the Oscar for Best Animated Short, let's just put that out there. Now the rest of the movie that follows, it's still pretty damn great. I enjoyed the chemistry between our protagonist Carl and the Boy Scout Russell, who accidentally accompanies him on his journey to Paradise Falls. The touching score by Michael Giacchino won an Academy Award, and for good reason. It's equal parts heartwarming, adventurous, and dramatic in every positive way, and flows along with the story very well. There's a lot of poetic wisdom that's addressed here, with themes of aging, death, and finding your own purpose in life, and discovering what it really means to live your life, all expressed through an old man who we gradually see on the teeter-totter of hopefulness and hopelessness at the same time. It's a genuinely sad movie, but at the same time, it's uplifting. Imagine living your whole life thinking your destiny was one place, when in reality, your life and your destiny was already being lived the whole time. That is some deep, sad shit. And that is why Up is so high on this list. Ratatouille is a beautiful film, with a message that'll last over time for generations to come. We all know the titular phrase,
"Anyone can cook."
as it is so elegantly narrated by Peter O'Toole in the film's closing moments. It's a dedication to not only those who have dreams, but to those who have dreams and passions that come from anywhere and any place and at any time. And to express that message through a rat of all things and make it compelling, a brat whose dreams are to cook and become a world-renowned chef, it's fascinating, it's beautiful, it's absurd, and it's kinda genius. I honestly feel like this film speaks most to people who constantly feel like their dreams and their aspirations always have to be put on hold, or there's always some type of obstacle or negative energy and false sense of reality that keeps us from becoming what we want to be and doing what we want to do. As I revisited this film often over the past 13 years, it still holds up to me in a way that feels completely genuine and heartwarming. I love that Remy, our protagonist, and our other protagonist, Linguini, a bumbling, nervous, but good-hearted garbage boy at a once prestigious restaurant, work so well together and instantly have a connection that feels authentic as Remy uses his talents and passion through Linguini in learning how to cook together. The supporting characters, from the hard-headed but passionate Colette to the other distinct and memorable kitchen hands, particularly the guy who can do anything with his thumb,
I killed a man with this thumb.
to one of the more underrated Pixar characters, Anton Ego, voiced almost seemingly effortlessly by screen legend and one of the greatest actors of all time, Peter O'Toole, whose character goes from being an on-the-surface cliché food critic douchebag to someone who has changed almost instantly the moment he tastes something as simple as a vegetarian dish. And this dish changes his whole perception on the world he once so dependently based his entire persona with. And what better way to end this already beautifully looking and beautifully paced film than by having some closing words by the great Peter O'Toole. It's fantastic. WALL-E is the most gorgeous looking Pixar film to date. There's no competition. The transition between the sequences taking place on Earth, where there's literal ruins, to the depths of space and the new Earth station is seamless. It's like something you'd see straight out of a Cosmos documentary narrated by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Besides the best use of visuals and animations I've seen this century from Pixar, what stands out is how easily WALL-E seems to transition between genres. The first half hour plays like a silent movie, with a lonely trash compacting unit living a daily routine. We don't know how long he's been there at first or what happened to humanity, but we know WALL-E has become a human in a way where he feels loneliness, until he meets Eve, a mysterious machine that he falls in love with. From that point on, we are transported from Earth to a station in outer space where we discover that human beings have gotten fatter and lazier while waiting for Earth to become inhabitable again. From there, we get beautiful sequences in space, an unsettling but hopeful message about humanity, and one of the most charming animated romances I've ever seen between WALL-E and Eve. All of this in the span of 100 minutes. WALL-E is damn near perfect. I was originally going to place either WALL-E or Ratatouille as my number one, but of all the films that have stayed in my memory box, of all the films I've revisited over time, of all the films that I constantly think about for no reason, whether I'm just bored or I'm just in the mood to watch a Pixar film, it has to be Toy Story 2 that takes the cake for me. Now I know. It seems like even though it's been critically praised and people even say that it's better than the first one, I never hear anybody talk about it. It's always either the first one or the third one. It takes the first film and builds upon it in every way and does everything better. The animation and the movement of the characters are better, the story and the character development this time around are better, and the new characters we're introduced to are fantastic. Both adventures, whether it's a Woody meeting new toys who are all at one point part of a TV show that got cancelled, or Andy's other toys trying to find Woody, they're both equally heartfelt and funny storylines. The Owl's Toy Barn sequence and the finale at the airport always stood out to me as some of the best animated work I've seen to this day. This movie actually made you genuinely feel sad about the treatment of toys and created this entire world that extends beyond the realm of our own reality. It holds a special place to me because I've seen it so many countless times, and it's one that I would revisit amongst first than any other Pixar film, surprisingly. And I honestly miss the old credit bloopers where it would show bloopers from the characters in the movie as if they were the actors. It's bizarre, it's meta, and I love it.
Isn't this exciting, Heimlich? Our first day of shooting.
Oh, yeah. It's so exciting.
You know, I can't believe that you talked him into making A Bug's Life too.
Yeah, I can hardly believe it also. But there's a little baby tiny thing I forgot to tell you.
What's that, Heimlich?
Well, you know, it's a 2 movie, but it's not A Bug's Life 2.
Well, then, I don't understand. What is it then?
Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed that ranking of number 11 through 1 of my top 22 Pixar films. If you liked the video, please hit that like button, comment below, let me know your thoughts, subscribe, and share. Your support means everything to me and gives me drive to continue producing more content. Thank you all for tuning into the deep dive. I will see you all next time.